Let's put our historian hat back on.
Okay.
Will the American Empire collapse one day? And if it does, when it does, what will be the reason?
Statistically, likely. Statistically,
Yeah.
yes. It's the famous Fight Club quote. It's like on a long enough timeline, the survival rate for everything drops to zero. You know,
I like for all the books you've quoted,
yeah.
you went to Fight Club. I
Oh,
guess the movie, right?
the book is good though. People should read that too. In terms of why, again, statistically, the answer is quite simple. It usually comes back to a series of unpopular wars, which are pursued because of the elite's interests. Then it usually leads to a miscalculation and not a catastrophic defeat. Normally, it comes gradually. And most of the times when these things end, the crazy part is most people who are living through end of empire have no idea that they're living through the end of the empire. And I actually think about that a lot from Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire by Edward Gibbon. Actually, your episode on Rome was fantastic. People should go listen to that. So there you go. Another really good one, I like to think a lot about the British Empire and if what eventually led to that collapse. And nobody in 1919 said the British Empire has just collapsed. Basically, nobody thought that. They were like, yeah, the First World War is horrible, but actually we came out of this okay. We still have India, we still have all these African colonies and all that. But, long periods of servitude, of debt to the United States, of degradation, of social upheaval, of Bolshevism, of American industrial might. And next thing you know, you find yourself at Potsdam and Churchill's like, holy shit, I have barely any power in this room. Right.
Mhm.
So revolutions happen slowly and then all at once. And so could you really put a real like pin in the end of the British Empire? It took almost 40 years for it to end. So America's empire will eventually end either from rising geopolitical competition, likely China, could be India, nobody knows. It will likely be because of being overstretched, of an elite capture is usually the reason why, and a misreading of what made your original society work, in the first place. And that is one where I honestly like all three of those things will happen all at once, and it will happen over an extremely long period of time. And
All right, Shalom. This is the brother Nahal from the GMS Orlando camp. I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rokah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who are the elders of Yashar Allah. And a sincere salutation to all you Akim, who are preaching this word and believing this word, and to the Akwad who are believing this word, in all truth and in sincerity. Yahweh is the name of the one they ignorantly call God. Yahweh Shai is the name of the one they ignorantly call Jesus. Bahashem is in the name. Rakah is spirit. Kodash is holy. Akyam is brothers. Akwath is sisters. Shalom means peace. And Yashar Allah is Israel in ancient Paleo-Hebrew. This is Daniel chapter 2 and verse 44. And it reads, And in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed. And the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms. And it shall stand forever. All right, and I want to go into a lesson based on the clip that you just saw from a Lex Friedman podcast interview with a historian. All right, and the subject was America. All right, and something that Christians don't often deal with is America as it relates to the scriptures. All right, and we understand through the Spirit that America will be destroyed. All right, and upon the destruction of this society, the fashion of this world will pass away and the kingdom of heaven will be established. All right. And it will never be taken down. All right. Because when you ask the Christians, where does America fit in the scheme of prophecy? Most of them can't answer that. Some of them are willing to admit that this is Babylon the Great, but most of them are not. All right. Let's go here. It's Revelation chapter 18. And verse 1. And it reads, And after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. Now, when you really understand this through prophecy, This is referring to America. All right. And according to prophecy, America is going to be destroyed and never inhabited again. All right. According to prophecy. All right. This is why when you look at the last part of that verse, it says, and is become the habitation of devils and the hold of every foul spirit and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. All right. And this describes Babylon the Great, which is America. OK, it says that all the nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. All right. And through institutions like United Nations and NATO, all right, those have been vehicles that the whore that sitteth upon the beast has used, because that whore that sitteth upon the beast, all right, as we'll continue, all right, is going into, all right, the American government, if you will, or the country of America, all right, sitting on the NATO and EU system and utilizing the NATO and EU system to push out its influence. And this is why verse 3 says, for all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. All right, now let's deal with that her. All right, this is Revelation chapter 17, and I'll jump down to verse 4. All right, no, let me start up at 1 to get the context. Revelation 17:1 reads, and there came one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. That great whore is America. All right, verse 2 reads, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. Because what is described in this society is democracy. All right. And the need to push democracy in other countries is really wickedness wrapped in the word democracy. All right. This is why the scriptures talk about the nations being made drunk, because all the nations who have taken on to this philosophy have destroyed themselves. All right. Asia is a perfect example. All right. Let's go to the scriptures because it talks about Asia in particular. All right. In its relation to Babylon. All right. This is 2nd Esdras chapter 15. And I want to jump down to verse 46. And it reads, and thou, Asia, that art partaker of the hope of Babylon, and art the glory of her person, woe be unto thee, thou wretch, because thou hast made thyself like unto her, and hast decked thy daughters in whoredom, that they might please and glory in thy lovers, which have always desired to commit whoredom with thee. Thou hast followed her that is hated in all her works and inventions. Therefore saith Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, I will send plagues upon thee, widowhood, poverty, famine, sword, and pestilence, to waste thy houses with destruction and death. And the glory of thy power shall be dried up as a flower. The heat shall arise that is sent over thee. And this is the Lord sending a shot directly to China, for example. All right, because Japan has made itself like unto America as well as a society. All right. And the Lord is saying you have followed her that is hated in all her works. And what is that referring to? Let's go back to Revelation, the 17th chapter. All right. Continuing, it says, verse 3. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet colored beast full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. All right. And this is describing America. All right. The scriptures also call it that great city. All right. The golden city. OK. But this is that her that is hated in all her works, because the philosophy that's pushed out from America in particular, the American culture, is really against the Heavenly Father. You know, on one side, they'll say, God bless America. But when you look at the actual society, they don't follow any of the law, statutes, and commandments that the Lord has written in the scriptures. All right, that the Lord has commanded. They haven't shaped a society based on the law, statutes, and commandments. So the Lord describes her as a whore. But again, arrayed in purple and scarlet color. All right, so to the appearance, all right, as a matter of fact, I want to see if I could jump down to verse Bear with me. Yeah. So verse 18, Revelation 17 and 18 reads, "And the woman which thou sawest is that great city, which reigneth over the kings of the earth." All right, which shows you that that woman, all right, that whore that sitteth on the beast is referring to America. All right. And what you saw in that podcast was a description of how all empires, all right, up until now have risen and fallen. All right. And America is no different according to prophecy. What is different about America is it will be the last kingdom of the heathens. All right. When I talk about America in particular, really is the so-called white man's rulership. All right. Because the spearhead, if you will, is America. But the scriptures say that Esau. All right. Let's get it. This is 2 Esdras 6 and 9. All right. And I'll jump to, let's get the point. Verse 7, 2 Esdras 6 and 7 in the GNT. All right, it says, "Then I asked, how long a period of time will divide the ages? When will the first age end and the next age begin? He answered, the interval will be no longer than that between Abraham and Abraham. He was the grandfather of both Jacob and Esau. And when they were born, Jacob was holding Esau's heel. Esau represents the end of this age, and Jacob represents the beginning of the new age." All right. So we know that the Lord, the one they ignorantly called Jesus, will come back to a world ruled by Edom. All right. And Edom, for those who don't know, is the biblical nationality of the so-called white man. Now, this isn't determined by skin color, because you have a lot of Israelites who appear to be so-called white people, but their lineage goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But as a nation of people, Esau, Edom is the so-called white man today. All right. So when you deal with the whore that sitteth upon the beast, it's talking about America as the government, as the empire, if you will. All right. Which is the stronghold of the Edomite rulership. All right. The elites use America to push forward influence. All right. So when we deal with how America is described in the scriptures, because Christianity won't deal with it. All right. They don't really have an answer. But when you deal with it with proper understanding, you find that America is this whore that sitteth upon this beast. All right. And it's also described as Babylon the Great, or the daughter of Babylon. And it's the place that is prophesied to never be inhabited again. All right. Matter of fact, let's go here to Isaiah the 13th chapter. All right. Another thing that he said that was very spiritual was that when most kingdoms fall, the people in it don't realize that it's falling. And that reminds me of this from Yahushua before we go to Isaiah 13. Slakia. Let's go to Matthew 24. I believe it's 24 and 37. All right, Matthew 24 and 37. "But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be." All right. So just like in the days of Noah, all right, we see the same thing happening. All right. Because what has been prophesied according to the will of the Lord is that Babylon the Great, which is America, will be destroyed. All right. With thermonuclear destruction. All right. And it will never be inhabited again. All right. As well as the lasers from the chariots. All right. This is Isaiah chapter 13. All right. And I want to back that point up. So it's Isaiah 13, and I'm going to jump down to verse 19. "And Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency, shall be as when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah." And how did the Lord do that? With fire. All right, so this is showing you how America is described in the scriptures with proper context. All right, verse 20 reads, "And it shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. Neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there, neither shall the shepherds make their fold there, but wild beasts of the desert shall lie there, and their houses shall be full of doleful creatures, and owls shall dwell there, and satyrs shall dance there. And the wild beasts of the island shall cry in their desolate houses, and dragons in their pleasant palaces. And her time is near to come, and her days shall not be prolonged. Now, the way we know this isn't talking about ancient Babylon is because ancient Babylon is located in the Iraq region. All right. And it's obviously still inhabited. All right. This is describing a new, all right, the daughter of Babylon, if you will, Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, which is America. When you look at the American empire, it's the strongest empire the world has ever seen in human history. All right. And this is why the scriptures say it shall no longer be said the Lord liveth that delivered the children out of the land of Egypt. But the Lord liveth that delivered the children of Israel out of the land of the north, concerning North America and all the places we were scattered as a nation of people. All right. Because Egypt was the America of his time. And the deliverance from Egypt was so infamous, if you will, that the neighboring cities knew. All right, when you deal with the account in Joshua, they knew what the Lord had did for us as a nation of people. As a slave class in that empire, we were delivered from that empire. All right, and the Lord is going to do that again concerning the American empire, which is the stronghold of Esau Edom's power structure. All right, this is where the so-called white man, this is the spearhead of his rulership. All right, the elites don't live in America, but they utilize America to push forth their will, if you will. All right, so again, we see Isaiah 13:19 is describing a place that will never be inhabited again. And we understand that this is America being spoken of in the scriptures. And according to prophecy, this is the lake of fire that you're going to see. All right. It's not going into hell and burning forever in the lake of fire. All right. That lake of fire is describing a nuclear, if you will, from the ICBM, America, Babylon the Great, being basically a lake of fire. All right. And again, this is supposed to sound impossible to the natural man. And this is why the scriptures say this. Habakkuk 1:5. Behold ye among the heathen, and regard and wonder marvelously. For I will work a work in your days, which you will not believe, though it be told you. All right. Because when you hear this guy speak of, the American empire, all right, as you continue in that interview, he says he has hope for America. He has hope that, it'll continue forever. It'll pick itself up by its bootstraps. But that's not the will of the Lord. All right. The will of the Lord is to destroy this place. All right. Let's continue in Revelation 18. All right. There's Revelation 18:3. It says, for all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. And the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. And the merchants of the earth have waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and Yahweh Shema Shai hath remembered her iniquities. All right, and this is describing the beaming up of the elect into the chariots. All right, and after that, the destruction is going to pour over Babylon the Great, which is America. And it's going to end up being a lake of fire as it is described. All right. But this is describing the judgment of Babylon the Great, which is America. All right. The doctrine of democracy, all right, as they term it, is a great ideal. But when you look at how it's performed and executed, it's really just wickedness. They sell people on a good idea. Look, it's going to be a government for the people. All right, we're going to give you guys democracy so you can vote for your leaders like we do. But in actuality, what they end up doing is feeding them a culture of destruction. This is why the Lord said this. All right, let's get this in Jeremiah 51, because again, it's describing Babylon. All right, Jeremiah 51:7. Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord's hand, that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore, the nations are mad. And see, the way the global economy is worked, all right, it's set up so that everybody's connected. All right. And through that, Babylon the Great, which is America, is able to enforce their influence over nations of people. Because Esau's in control of all the resources, the American empire is able to sanction people. All right, to basically force or coerce people into their way of thinking or into their will. All right, this is why the scriptures keep describing Babylon and that whore that sitteth upon the beast, making all the nations drunk. Because people are sold on this ideal of freedom, but when it's actually executed, all right, it ends up being wickedness covered in glitter. All right, just look at the American society as it is today. All right, and the will of the Lord. Let's deal with the law, statutes, and commandments, and then the society that we live in. Is it one and the same? Is it leaning more towards the commandments of the Lord or the opposite? And it's the opposite. And this is why the scriptures also describe, the hypocrite. All right, because Esau say we're a God-fearing country, but at the same time they'll allow laws and statutes to be enforced that allow things that are completely opposite from the commandments. All right, this is Job 20:4. Knowest thou not this of old, since man was placed upon earth, that the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment? Though his excellency mount up to the heavens, and his head reach unto the clouds, yet he shall perish forever like his own dung. They which have seen him shall say, where is he? All right, because this empire is going to be destroyed, and the Lord's going to make an example out of it. All right, let's go here. This is Job chapter 34 and verse 29. When he giveth quietness, who then can make trouble? And when he hideth his face, who then can behold him? Whether it be done against a nation or against a man only, that the hypocrite reign not, lest the people be ensnared. And at this point, the people are ensnared. All right, they believe that wickedness is progress. And it's because they're watching Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, rule, and they haven't seen his consequence. They haven't seen his end yet. And this is why the nations have been made mad through the philosophy that's been given to them by the American empire, which is really the Edomites. All right, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. All right, so America is being described in Revelation, the 18th chapter and the 17th chapter, Isaiah, the 13th chapter. All right, Isaiah, the 14th chapter as well, Isaiah, the 63rd chapter. All right, but if you ask a Christian, all right, because they've had the scriptures for thousands of years, for centuries, but then you ask them to break down certain things that are important to the time we live in, they really can't tell you. All right. And this is why the Lord set up the apostles last as a word pointed unto death, to bring out the proper understanding of what's actually happening, whether they hear or forbear. All right. But it's beautiful when you look at how the Lord is describing empires. All right. Let's go back to Revelation 18. All right. This is Revelation 18:6. And it reads, reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works. And the cup which she hath filled to her double. How much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is the Lord God who judgeth her. All right. And again, that fire is going into the ICBM missiles as well as the fire from the chariots. All right. Verse 9 reads, and the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. All right, and this is the end of the place that they call America, and it will never be inhabited again, according to prophecy. So for those who believe in the scriptures, this is America being described in the scriptures, and there are many more scriptures to back this up. All right, the Lord will come back to a world ruled by Edom. And Babylon, the daughter of Babylon, would be figured prominently in the scriptures. All right, let's go here. This is Isaiah 47:1. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. And why is the Lord describing it as a virgin? Because America as a nation has never been invaded. So you're starting to see the picture become more clear when you deal with the whore that sitteth on the beast, that great city, all right, Babylon. All right. And then being described as the virgin daughter of Babylon. It says, sit on the ground. There is no throne or daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. Take the millstones and grind meal, uncover thy locks and make bare the legs, uncover the thigh, pass over the rivers. And that's synonymous with being exposed. All right. Beginning with the apostles and elders on down, the shaking of the hand, if you will, and how Babylon the Great, which is America, relates to scripture. Because really, it's not just the American empire, it's the so-called white man's rulership. But this is just how he's organized it, where Babylon the Great, which is America, is that spearhead. All right, continuing, it says, thy nakedness shall be uncovered. Yea, thy shame shall be seen. Thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man. All right. So this is the Lord saying he will not meet thee as a man. And let's go here to where the Lord is also referring to his return. All right. When I say the Lord, I'm talking about the one they ignorantly call Jesus, whose name is Yahushai. It says Isaiah 63:1. Who is this that cometh from Edom with dyed garments from Basra? This that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength. I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. Wherefore art thou red in thine apparel, and thy garments like him that treadeth in the wine fat? I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there was none with me. For I will tread them in mine anger, and trample them in my fury, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will stain all my raiment. For the day of vengeance is in mine heart, and the year of my redeemed is come. All right, now the point is the Lord saying, who is this that is the question being asked to the Lord? Who is this that coming from Edom? All right. Because again, it's not talking about the physical location necessarily. It's talking about the people. All right. Matter of fact, and one thing you did notice too, in verse 3 says, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will stain all my raiment. And that goes back to Revelation. All right. This is Revelation 19. Let me just grab. This is Revelation 19 and 13. But I want to start at 11. And it reads, and I saw heaven opened, and behold, a white horse. And he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True. And in righteousness he doth judge and make war. His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns. And he had a name written that no man knew but he himself. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of God. All right. So Isaiah 63 and Revelation 19th link, which shows you that the Lord will come back to a world ruled by Esau, Edom. All right. And America is described in Revelation, the 18th chapter, because it concerns the power structure when you deal with the whore that sitteth upon the beast. And through that connection, all right, the whore sitting upon the beast, the will of Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, has been able to flourish in the earth and be enforced. But this is how it ends for that empire. As the scriptures say, Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. All right, so I just want to go into that through the spirit. All right, I saw that clip earlier this morning and the spirit hopped on me to address it because, again, you know, people see the writing on the wall, so to speak, you know, and they have hope that this place will get better. But according to the will of the Lord, that's not his intention. All right. The Lord's intention is to destroy this place and establish the kingdom of heaven. All right. So Lord willing, this was edifying with that. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Ruach HaKodesh. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who are the elders of Yasha Allah. And a sincere salutation to all you Akim, who are preaching this word and believing this word, and to the Akwath, who are believing this word in all truth and in sincerity. Shalom.